Hello everyone, so I've been working on this fairy house for outside and I didn't record much of it because I thought that it would be a lot to record, but then I decided that I did want it to be recorded. So I am going to take you through what I've already done and then show you the rest of what I do. And please excuse the mess in the background, I've been working really hard. So to start, I used a dollhouse kit that I found on Amazon. I'll link it down below for you. And it's not exactly fairy size, but you know, your fairy size can be whatever you want. It's a very small dollhouse, so it works. And I just used that kit to build the actual frame of the house. And for the roof, I used the shingles that came with the dollhouse kit, and I just layered them from the bottom to the top, and then painted them with my patio paint that's waterproof, but I watered it down so that it wouldn't be as bright of a color like the door and the shutters are. Also, to glue the shingles on, I just used wood glue that is also waterproof so that it will hold up outside. So this is the front of the house, and I used the same color patio paint and then white patio paint to paint all the details on this, and the walls are spray painted with a stone texture spray paint to give them the side texture, and I put flowers in the window box for detail. And pretty much everything that I glued on this house was either glued on with the Gorilla Wood Glue or my hot glue gun. Okay, so this is one of the sides of the house, and it has the same stone texture on the walls. I haven't figured out how I'm going to cover up the side seam and then the little pegs that are coming through. You can see 3 of them. But the window has the same colors as the front, and I put flowers in this flower box also. And here's the back of the dollhouse. It has an open part because it's meant to be played with, but I have a piece of plywood that I'm going to use to cover this up because I want it to be enclosed. So I just painted the inside of it because you will be able to see inside through the windows, and I painted the floor brown for hardwood floors. And then on the roof here, you can kind of see this cutout. There was also an opening there so that you could play inside of it, but I put a piece of wood across that and covered up with shingles. It doesn't look perfect, but it gets the job done. And now it's enclosed, so it will be better weatherproofed. And this is the last side of the house. There was no windows or anything on this side, so I decided to get some vines from the craft store, and I glued them all along the wall so that it looks like vines are climbing up the wall. And I'm planning on having an overhang going off of this side of the wall, so hopefully I'll be able to bring the vines onto that as well. The only other things that I've done so far is created a couple of little accessories for the house. This is a bed I made. I made it out of a 3D furniture puzzle kit that I also got on Amazon. I'll link that below. And I put a piece of fabric for a blanket and a flower for a pillow, and then I put sticks going up and across just as a little detail, and I added a piece of an old necklace and 2 old feather earrings in the back. I was just trying to think of things that a fairy could find outside, just like someone lost their earrings and then the fairy uses that to add something to their bed. So that's how I created these things. And then I also made a kitchen table, nightstand, and 2 chairs. This is the kitchen table. It's made out of a wooden small flower pot upside down with a piece of wood on it. And the night table is made the same exact way. And then for centerpiece for the table, I took an acorn and put some flower beads in it. And then the chair is made out of sticks, a wood piece, and then a flower on the back. And this is the nightstand. It's made the same way as the table once again. And then I made a chandelier, and I just took pieces of an old necklace and hung them from something I just found laying around in my craft stuff. I don't even know what it is, but that will hang from the ceiling, and I think it will add a nice touch to the inside of the house. Okay, so now we'll be moving on to me actually making things and filming it. I have these pieces of wood. They're just square pieces of wood that I got from the craft store, and I wanted to make them into a shed. So I'm going to cover them in varnish so that they stay nice and waterproofed outside and last very long. And once those are all dry, I'm going to nail them together into a square to make up the outside of the shed. And here's the finished box. There's edges that you can see through into the inside, which doesn't really matter too much, but it kind of bothers me, so I'm going to fill those in to make it look like there's moss coming through the cracks. To do this, I just went around all of the edges and filled them in with my Gorilla Glue, wood glue that's waterproof, so that kind of keeps some of the moisture out even though there's no bottom on it, and also to help stick in the clump foliage that I'll be using to make it look like moss. Next, someone's probably going to hate me for this, but I had some extra books I picked up from a thrift store, so I decided I was going to use the covers of this book as the roof for the shed. So I just went and cut them off. And there's the covers cut off from the book. The book is still intact though, so it's still readable. I had to make these waterproof, so I decided to paint them with some patio paint. I just chose green because I didn't know what I was going to do with these, and they ended up changing multiple times, but for now they're just green and waterproofed. So next I'm going to be cutting the piece of plywood that I have to the back of the house. So by lining up the piece of wood to the house, I drew lines where I needed to cut so that it would fit perfectly to the back of the house. You can kind of see them there. And here it is after I cut it. As you can see, it lines up really nicely to the back of the house. I just have to cut off the bottom part now, and then it should line up perfectly and enclose the house to waterproof it completely. And here's the final product. It fits perfectly to the back wall. It looks very natural. I do, however, don't want to leave it plain. I'm thinking about adding a window to it and possibly a back door. So to add the back door, I found a piece of wood that was cut off from the extra for the back of the house, and it's about the same size as the front door. So I'm going to use this to be the back door, but I would need to cut out a window for it so it looks more natural. I might also use these as a back deck if they fit nicely there. Here's the back door with the window cut out for it. To cut this out, I ended up drilling holes all around a square that I made and then punching it out. It looks kind of rough, but it just needs to be sanded, and then I'll put a piece of plastic behind it for the window, and it should look nice. I also took the door and drew an outline of my cutout so that I can cut out a piece on the wall so that you can see into the house through the door. Also, to make the door match the rest of the house, I painted it with some green patio paint, and then I took some leftover pieces of what I had, painted them white, and applied them onto the door to make it look more like an actual door. And of course the window is also put behind the cutout. Okay, so while that all dries, I decided to take a fake flower that I turned upside down to make it sort of look like an umbrella, and I'm just wrapping some twine around the stem of it to use as like an umbrella for a patio table outside or something. I'm not sure yet what I will do with it. Also, I did decide to use those pieces of wood as a back deck, so I decided to use 3 small wooden flower pots that I had as the legs to hold the deck up. I just glued those on the 3 corners, and I'll probably put steps on the 4th corner or something since there's no flower pot there. And I also need to paint them, which I'll do later on. And I also have these leftover small wooden pegs that I'm probably going to put around the edges of the deck to use as a sort of fence, and maybe wrap twine around those also. So next, taking a break from all of the jumping around with the crafts, I decided to start the lighting for my house. Because my house is going to be outside, I wanted it to have lights for nighttime, so I got this solar powered string of lights, and I'm going to bring it through the house so that at nighttime it will light up and you can see inside and it will look really cute. So to get started with the lighting, these are some steps that I'll be having leading up to the front door. They're sort of see-through, so I'm going to have the lights going through the ground, but the light part's sticking up underneath of these stones. So hopefully it will turn out as a lighted pathway leading to the house. So after I set aside 12 lights for the front walkway, I decided to bring the lights up into the front flower box. And so I drilled 2 holes for the lights in there, and this will let the flowers in the front be illuminated a bit and help me to bring the lights into the house more. And here's the lights in the bottom of the flower box. By putting the lights in the flower box, it allows me to bring it around the other side, which is right here. I will be connecting this overhang onto the side of the house, adding ivy, and then adding the wires with the lights into that so that the overhang lights up. So I don't know if I showed this yet, but the overhang is just made out of these wood pegs, the same ones that I was using for the fence on the back deck, and I took twine and wrapped it around each of the intersecting pieces so that it looked more like homemade, like someone wrapped them around to keep them in place. And this is just going to go on the side of the house. Then I took the ivy that was going up the side of the house and incorporated that onto the overhang, and I will also do the same with the lights once I'm done with the ivy. And here is the finished overhang with the ivy on it. Now I have put the lights along the ivy leading up to the overhang, and I'm putting the lights onto the overhang. I'm connecting it to it by just taking some hot glue, but not too hot of glue because I don't want to mess up the lights, and just sticking it to it. But I'm not really going to show too much of that because, as you can see, I had a really bad camera angle, so you can't even really see what I'm doing. But it just took a lot of practice to figure out where it looked best and moving things around, and you just have to mess with it until you get it how you like it. Then after I was done putting the lighting on the overhang, I brought the wire around to the back of the house so that I could start making the inside of the house light up. But first I have to glue down all of my inside furniture and make sure everything's where I want it to be. And now that all my furniture is glued down and where I want it, I can start bringing the lights in. I decided to just bring them around the top of the inside so that it illuminates the whole entire area. You can't really see them when you look through the window anyway, but you'll be able to see all the objects because it will light it up. So this video is getting kind of long and I have a lot more footage to go through, so I'm going to cut it here. And if you're interested in seeing how this fairy house turns out, the rest of the lighting and all of that, then please check out part 2. That will be up soon, or is already up depending on when you're watching this. I hope you're enjoying it so far, and thanks for watching.